Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Mark Marquette, and we're so glad you're with us to stay curious. Today, as you see, I have got two very talented and young rocket engineers from Vaya Space, our local hometown company. Meet Catherine Ferrerira. Fiera, something like that, right, Catherine? All right, and Mikaela Juda. Mikaela, thank you for coming here. Mikaela, you grew up in Orlando, right?
Yep.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And Catherine, you grew up in Venezuela. Caracas, is that what it is?
That's correct.
Is that the capital?
That's the capital, yeah.
Capital there.
Yeah.
And you said you've been in the States a while and got a good United States education here.
Correct.
And we're so happy to have you because, of course, I think you're the 9th rocket engineers from Vaya Space we've had on here. We've had your boss, Rob Fabian, on here. Haven't gotten Mary on here yet. She's kind of shy. All right. You're wonderful.
He's hard to track sometimes.
Yeah. And Mary Baldino, a very talented lady out there. And her dad's one of the most talented photographers you ever want to see on there. But tell us about Vaya Space. Give us give us a little of the company line, and then we'll have Mikaela give the rest. Catherine, what about Vaya Space? What do we need to know about it?
Well, essentially, we're a rocket company, a satellite launch provider, and we do recycled. Our fuel grades are fully recycled plastic, and currently we're working towards our first static fire, or for this year for the Dauntless engine, and we actually brought a little model of our rocket, how it's gonna look like.
This is Vaya Space's Dauntless rocket. How many stages there, Mikaela?
We're a 2-stage rocket, and we're hoping to expand to 3 in our next block.
Okay. Yet to fly, because there's a lot of engineering to do on this stuff, right? But obviously it looks like you could have some strap-ons there for different payload sizes. And we're going to talk about how Vaya is one of the new companies that will tailor the rocket to your payload, right?
Yep. Correct.
On there.
Yeah.
So what else would you like to say about, tell me a little bit about working at Vaya Space.
Yeah. So working at Vaya Space, it's really just a unique environment. We all get to pitch in and work on the different activities and the different projects that we want to work on. So we have a lot that we need to focus on, but we also have a lot of little side quests that we enjoy participating in. So just a lot of technical discussions going around at all times.
I've been, of course, on your campus there. It's in Cocoa, Florida. If you know the area, it's on Grissom, way out in industrial area, Grissom, behind a little friendly place called Pint and Pistol.
Yes.
So how good's the food at Pint and Pistol?
It's actually pretty good. We go often for lunch.
I know, I bet you do.
It's great.
You just fall out of your chair over there.
Yeah, and they're very pet friendly. Our company is pet friendly, so on Fridays we can go there and just take the dogs outside, eat, and just have a look.
Yeah, a couple of times Mary's toured me there. I got to meet some of the friendly animals that are there, a few dogs.
Yeah.
The new age way of having business is very interesting. And it's as interesting to me as my buddy Marty Winkle over there. I hadn't said hi to Marty. How you doing today, Marty?
I'm doing good, Mark.
We have an intern in. Who's interning with us today?
That's Logan Cope.
All right, Logan. And Logan's with?
Eastern Florida State College.
Yep, all right. And we appreciate Logan coming in and helping us a little bit, learn the ropes with our Streamlabs broadcast there. These young ladies are 23 years old, folks, and that was actually Marty had already been working a year for Grumman on the lunar module when he was 23. And, I like that parallel of that the people who put us on the moon were all 20-somethings, really. Yeah. And here you're 20-somethings, and you're doing something maybe even more important than going to the moon, and that's providing low Earth access to lots of companies and innovative ideas that it wouldn't be conceivable, right? Speak to that a little bit about how did you get into this? Where'd you go to college?
So I went to University of Central Florida, UCF. Go Knights!
Right? Yeah, go Knights. Just
And,
over here, we love them. They're had a lot. They've come a long way in the 7 years I've been here.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. We have our day of space university and everything, and in the football, it's very, very important. To
Big
represent.
astronomy department, I know there.
very big.
And,
So yeah, I studied there. I studied aerospace engineering. My bachelor was in aerospace engineering, and
well, what turned you on about it? Who in Caracas, Venezuela, got you thinking about this when you were young?
Well, interestingly enough, I started when I was about 10 years old, just looking at the stars, kind of how you were telling us before, of how you saw the planets and you were kind of just in awe. And I started doing my own research, and when I was about 10, just Google had just came out and just started watching some videos on YouTube. And then I ended up giving a 1-hour lecture in my class to what asteroids were and what stars were. But then I think one of my dear professor, Jose, he was our physics and mathematics professor, and he really pushed that passion very, very much so by giving me a lot of books on quantum physics and all of that kind of stuff, relativity, and just kind of pushing that. And he explained to me what aerospace engineering was, because that's not really a concept that you know in Minnesota. It's not very developed. It's more mechanical engineering and that kind of stuff, but the space field is not really developed. So he saw that interest in me, and he pushed me. He passed away 3 years ago.
Oh,
yeah. But
it's so wonderful to have a mentor like that. And I was going to say, I hope he can come to one of your first launches. I'm sure he's proud of you.
Yeah.
How about your family?
Yeah.
Anybody in the family in aerospace, or is this out of left field, as we say?
Yeah, well, I would say, my mom is a civil engineer. She really liked aeronautics, but she never really got into that. And my dad is an accountant, so it's math related, but not really aerospace related, to say. So I'm the first one currently.
Now, Venezuela, of course, in South America.
Correct.
It's on the west coast, right?
Actually in the north of South
north.
America.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
North
So
of
it's the
South
top
America.
north. I get my globe out here.
Yeah.
My globe out here. What do Americans need to know about Venezuela? That they don't know.
Well, people in Minnesota are very warm. They're very kind, but also the food is fantastic. You definitely have to try las arepas, which are food.
Yeah, I love Hispanic food
Yeah,
and
it's
the whole
delicious.
culture.
You definitely need to try it.
I'm gonna get my globe here to look at Caracas here on the globe, but
It's really
Venezuela is right up at the top there. Of course.
Yep.
Right up there on this globe, it's got a lot of green on it.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
very
have-
important. That's right near the equator, of course, and boy, there'd be some dark skies there near the what do they call those islands from south of Cuba and all?
That would be the Caribbean islands, I would
Right.
say, yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
Trinidad.
Dominican Republic and big tourism area, I'm sure there.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, for sure.
well, do you
Beautiful
have siblings? What
beaches,
about
yeah.
your family?
Yes, I do have a younger sibling. Her name is Andrea.
Uh-huh.
She's studying. She's at Notre Dame right now, University of Notre Dame.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's doing history. She's doing a double major. She's doing history, accounting, and a minor in Russian. So she's gonna be.
That's cool.
She went a different route, but extremely smart as well.
Well, I wanted to pursue Russian myself because I knew everyone wanted to know what they're up to.
Yeah.
And sort of wish I had with the we've got all three superpowers orbiting the Earth right now.
Yeah.
10
I'm sure she's gonna be
astronauts.
helping me in some point.
Well, good. Well, that's nice. Well, I love hearing about your background and what brought you here. How did you apply for the job at Vaya?
Well, we were just discussing this on the car, actually. I have a friend that Keith and I, we were part of the same, we both graduated from University of
We had
Central
Keith
Florida.
Keenan on here and Giovanni Vidal were our last engineers that were on here last month. And I told them they set the bar pretty high for you girls. But,
Yeah, for sure.
but you're doing great today.
Very,
for sure.
very smart. So we were both in the same club, Nice Experimental Rocketry, which we developed a lot of rockets. And one of those was a hybrid And so I was part of the propulsion team, and eventually ended up being the propulsion lead of that project. And I was just so interested in hybrids. And one of our friends, Gabriel, he mentioned about Vaya, and we had another friend called Dominic. He was doing an internship at Vaya, and so that kind of got our interest peaking because we were already working in hybrids. And so it was just very, very interesting. And then we ended up applying, and just the experience after that was fantastic. Yeah.
Well, you've lived a wonderful young life already, and we're going to hear more about your engineering prowess as we talk about the Dauntless engine and when we're going to see it launch and so forth. But let's learn a little bit about Mikaela here. Mikaela Juda, you said you grew up in Orlando.
Yep, born and raised in Orlando.
You do know who the John Young Parkway is named after, don't you?
Yes, John Young.
That's good.
Yes.
Well, that's good.
Yep.
We're on the right track there. What turned you on to space? And you mentioned here in your bio that you're really into math and calculus in high school.
Yeah.
Is what brought you to be an engineer.
Yeah, so growing up in Orlando, I got to see the last of the space shuttle launches, and then I got to also see the start of the new commercial space launches. So that right there was like kind of an interest to me, like, oh, I get to see this transition. And then growing up, also going to Kennedy Space Center, I've been there more times than I can count.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of the last times I was there after taking AP Calculus in high school, I was like, this is it. I want to work on these. This is what I want to do. So then from there, I just kept going to school. I ended up getting my aerospace and mechanical engineering degree at UF, and then just started at Vaya.
Good. University of Florida there.
Yes, go Gators.
Yeah, that's right. And you oversee the development and maintenance of the Dauntless launch vehicle, focusing on the first stage and ground support systems. And she's going to tell us a little bit about the pad when we see it that you're going to launch from. That's just fabulous. You, of course, Rob Fabian has been on our show here as your Chief Operating Officer. And we're going to talk a little bit about the business here. But again, anyone in your family in the business? Or
Nope. Actually, my mom worked for the Golf Channel for 20 plus years, actually. So completely separate industry. And then my dad worked within finance and accounting. So really no one in my family. It's all been finance.
So what do they think about their rocket
They
scientist?
Love it. They love it. They're so proud of me. You know?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, well,
I can feel their support at all times.
That's awesome.
both of these ladies are inspiration to women and men in STEAM education program in there. And just, again, the sky's the limit. You don't know where these careers can lead you. And, one thing that old people like me like to pass on that we've seen happen, particularly with our astronaut friends and other people in the space industry, is to be as prepared as you can to go to that next level, because you never know when you're going to be asked to do that.
Yep.
In there. But you're both very comfortable with getting Vaya off the ground, I'm sure, because there's opportunities out there with these other companies that might be tempting. But why would you want to stay with Vaya?
So many reasons. I think the first one is the team. The team makes the dream work, and I think that applies so much in our company. I'm part of the propulsion team currently, and our lead, Kenya Wallace, he's extremely just inspiring, very intelligent. All of my team, all of my peers are extremely intelligent, very smart, and they all want to see the mission succeed. And so they're pushing every single time, and every idea is pushing towards that. And just the amount of support that I've gotten from all of the people in my team is fantastic. It's inspirational. So it makes you want to go back to work every single day and see the designs that we're doing. I also feel like our designs are very innovative. They're very forward thinking, very new. We're working with a technology that hasn't been done before. In our static fire, hopefully, that we do next month, we're going to be the first hybrid engine to fire at that scale, the scale that we're going to be firing. And so just so many things that we're kind of groundbreaking at this point, and that's extremely exciting. Just beginning on that, that's very, very exciting.
And what keeps you loyal?
Like she said, it's definitely the novel technology for me. to see this kind of technology being developed, and even though we say like all of these other companies are starting their commercial launch services, but like it's still not the same way we're doing it. I don't want to say that they're taking a more traditional approach, but with the liquid biprop engines, those are the more traditional engines. So with our kind of technology, it's just different. I want to see how we can change the way that commercial space can be made.
Great. We're going to speak to that technology here in a minute. Let me, what did Marty choose for a green screen back there? What are we looking at there? Catherine, I guess that's more your wheelhouse.
Yeah, that was one of the first firings that we had, the test firings that we had a couple of years ago, and you can see the Mac diamonds kind of in the background this way.
And that rocket engine is fueled by what?
I believe in that time I wasn't part of the company, but I believe that was ABS at the moment.
Okay.
It's essentially plastic.
Yeah.
Right now we have changed.
Recycled plastic.
Correct. Yeah. Right now we've changed the type of plastics that we're using. But still recycled, still green technology.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting because it's very safe and very reliable in the sense that we don't need to, if you put the oxidizer and the fuel both in the same room right next to each other, nothing is going to happen. As opposed to a liquid biprop, what you were alluding to. It's a traditional approach, but it's more dangerous inherently. And so with this technology, we have been able to mitigate that a lot.
Yeah, so 4 years ago, we were given 2 rocket cores of fuel that is laying in the back of our conference room there, completely inert, completely safe, yet it's a rocket laying back there. You don't have to rope it off. You don't have to worry about nasty fuel or fumes or anything like that. So well, let's do some of the company line stuff here for my good buddy Rob and all the team up there. Let's go back to the pretty tease there of Catherine Ferrerira. Yeah, we're almost Ferrerira. There. And Mikaela Juda there. So great to have you all here today. This is the future, folks. And, tell your teenage kids, don't be liberal arts majors like me. Make some money and be an engineer, all right? There's a beautiful logo of Vaya. That's the V for Vaya Condios. We're going to tell you why that is just a second. This is actually Vector over here is a first and second stage, I know. And we can't see them on their green screen on their clothing here, but there's their headquarters. There's Orlando, and there's our Space Coast. You can't get much closer to your rocket pad over there, so I'll be waiting to see when they close down the road and you go over the new bridge to go over there someday. That's Orlando in the upper left up there.
We like to say that we are the only rocket company that designs, tests, builds, and manufactures all within Cocoa. Yeah,
that's right.
Right on the Space
Our
Coast.
hometown rocket company. And they've morphed out of Rocket Crafters was the early generation of this. Yep. And part of the change was this board of directors here. Astronaut Sid Gutierrez is the chairman of the board and sort of named the company. Grant Begley, Ward Schrader, both very powerful aerospace entrepreneurs. Yes. Kevin Loudermilk, I think, worked for the shuttle era. Might be wrong. Leonard Rivera there. And then you got 2 generals there. Having 1 or 2 generals is never a bad thing. General Abrams, and then the other one, we can't see his name there. So I make it smaller there. But that's just to let you all know that this is a very, very serious company that has millions of dollars in investors and a whole lot of people pulling for them as they're doing something that's quite unique in many, many ways that we'll talk about. There we wanted to put a picture of Sid up there. And you've all met him apparently and found out you say he's a nice guy?
Very.
Fantastic.
He was a pilot and then twice a shuttle commander. And when he was launched as a commander, Bob Seek, the launch director, said, Via con Dios, which is the traditional God be with you as you go in Hispanic. And he was the first Hispanic-born astronaut and commander. And that's one of his patches there on the right where on his thing there, I forget which one, he took 3 women to space up there. And But yeah, I'd like to. Can't one day we'll have the opportunity to meet him, and hopefully have him on a Stay Curious program one day. So here's the beast, your rocket. Several versions of it as it evolves.
Yes.
The Green Rocket Launch Company, showing fearlessness and determination, is named Dauntless. So, again, tell us the unique features of this, Catherine.
Well, in regards to the propulsion system, we have a very unique injection system. We have the vortex injection system, which has been patented already. Also, our fuel grain is solid and our oxidizer is liquid. And we have an ignition system that is also very novel, which I believe you talked about.
Yeah, Giovanni, he talked about it.
Yeah.
Jesus, Andre, and Andrea Ferrerira are watching. Okay.
My dad and my sister.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. We're glad to see you folks. And I'm sure you're proud of your beautiful daughter here. And
Awesome.
we're proud of all these young engineers because they are making a difference in our world. And at the cutting edge of, here we are 25 years, a quarter of the way through the 21st century. And you're going to live long enough to see the end of this century, I hope. And it's just amazing what could happen. So,
Oh yes.
but I'm glad your family's watching there.
Yeah.
3D printing's a big part of this company, right?
Correct. So our fuel grain is also, it's 3D printed, and our nozzle.
Fuel grains are made out of recycled plastic bottles and such.
So not the bottle itself, but the caps.
Oh, the caps.
The material that the caps are made of, that's what we.
Okay,
so
even
we
a
use
harder
something.
substance there.
Correct.
We use HDPE, so it's like the really tough plastics that they use in milk jugs or your laundry detergent bottles. So those really heavy duty plastics, or like the really type thicker.
Yeah.
If you see like the recycle symbol on the bottom, I think they have a type 2, and that's
Okay.
the HDPE we use.
Wow, that's good to know that my laundry detergent
Yeah.
that costs so much is going up in a
Yep.
in a rocket. Up
If you look
there.
at your bottle and it has a 2, that's rocket fuel.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Giovanni that we had on here has a patent on that ignition system. He talked
Correct.
about that.
Yes.
How do you get plastic to burn? Now, come on. We've all played with maybe the spool sprockets on a model or something and burned on them and see it drip off and
Yeah.
no flame there. And you need a lot of intense electrical energy to get that thing to light. And
Yes.
that's just part of the technology that Vaya is breaking ground on, correct?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Patents on that. Everyone has to come to you to use it on there. What can you tell us about the Dauntless rocket that's unique about it,
Yeah.
Mikaela?
So in addition to our engines and our hybrid 3D printed grains, we also use our composite wrapped fuel tanks. And so our LOX tanks, we use them as the main structure of our body or our rocket, and then we carbon fiber wrap those. And so it gives us not only weight reduction, but also it's just a more simplistic design. So we're really looking at that composite
Yeah,
manufacturing.
have some strength too.
Yep.
More strength in there
Provides all of
without
that.
more structure.
Yeah.
In there. We let me look this up here. We go to back to Sid. Eco-friendly, safe reliability. This is off of your website here. Just give you some company line there. The recyclable 2. I'm going to be looking at that. You see a 2 in the recyclable symbol there on the left, and that's rocket fuel.
Yep.
Cool. Well, do you have a bin at the factory to drop off my pop bottle caps? No.
No, we do recycle. So we do
Okay.
have our own
Yeah.
bin that we throw our
I'm
recycling into,
joking
but
there.
we do get our recycled
It's
plastics
such a
from a
new-
recycled factory.
It's such a new age factory, folks, that you've been in there. You have a pool table, you got ping pong, you've got an
Yes.
open commissary there. I noticed that instead of having everybody sit around tables and chairs, you've got giant blocks graded up that people can sit
Yes.
and get together and have a meeting. It's very friendly, and I think these environments that breed the camaraderie that you all are experiencing
And booth
breed
creativity.
a lot of great innovation and determination, and in my mind, people that have a pride in their craft.
Oh,
And I think
100%.
you have that
Mhm.
in there, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Everyone at Vaya, they're just so proud of what they produce and what they're showing to everybody else. And you can really just see the passion when they're presenting what they've come up with.
100%.
But it certainly shows when we have young engineers like you on our program. There's the Dauntless rocket there being launched there. Once again, here's a beautiful scale model of it right off your boss Rob Fabian's desk there. You could have a different combination of solids here, right? But all these engines you're involved with, correct? Mostly you, Catherine.
Yes, correct. Yeah,
There's
Mikaela helps us in the organizational aspect a lot. But yeah, I'm currently working. I'm the responsible engineer for the thrust vector control system. So essentially, the way that we're gonna steer the rocket once it goes up, that's currently what I'm working in. So,
Well, how's it steered? By pneumatics, by reaction control thrusters?
So we do have an RCS system, but mostly it's a supersonic split line system. So what that means is that I'm going to take this out to make it a little bit more clear. In the end section of the nozzle, we're essentially it's called the diverging section, and it's where the supersonic flow gets developed. So what we're doing is we're putting an extension on that area, and meaning that we're splitting that area in colloquial terms. And what we have is a material that's able to withstand the heat, because it's being passively cooled, not really regeneratively cooled. But we're going to be using electrical actuators to actuate that ending of the nozzle, and then when it's going up, you can steer with the actuators. So it has 6 degrees of freedom of gimballing.
So it's not moving the whole nozzle, it's moving actuators within the nozzle.
Correct.
Another novel idea, it sounds
Correct.
like.
Yeah. Actually, it hasn't. It's all new. It has been explored in the Mars Ascent Vehicle program currently in their solid rocket booster. But other than that, it's a pretty novel idea that we're playing with. So
You should be able to take off the top.
How big of payloads are you talking about?
So we're looking to launch up to 450 kilograms for our first launches.
450 kilograms is times 2.2 pounds.
About 800.
Half a ton?
Yeah.
Yeah, half a ton. Okay. And talking to Rob, your boss, and other leaders of these low Earth orbit companies, you have a waiting list. You have a lineup of customers that want to put their stuff in space. Who are some of those customers, Mikaela, if you know?
Actually, that is not my realm. That's definitely more of like the business side. So I personally don't know who are the customers, but I know
your plan is to get them safe up there.
Exactly. I was like, that's definitely more on like the business
are
side.
a lot of small communication companies.
Yeah.
There's even roofing companies that want to have satellites up to photograph your roof and tell you need a new one.
I know we've been in contacts and communications with Athens State University. So we do want to support some of our other like collegiate space programs and the smaller science communities and the students who want to get some of their payloads up just to test, because I know there's been UCF has launched some payloads. Some of the state schools out in Colorado have launched their experiments on rockets. So we'd want to help some of those university space programs as well.
Good, yeah. And the only way they could do that in the shuttle era was these ride shares that they had, the getaway specials and so forth. Looking at the rocket engine here, what have you got to say about your unique Star 3D engine?
Well, it's very unique, very special. We've gone through a lot of iterations of it. So our first testing is not going to be our last iteration, hopefully.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of novel things, like the vortex injection system that I was telling you about, the ignition system, our TDC system, hopefully.
Yeah.
The way that everything is 3D printed and also metal 3D printed. Our injector is made out of Inconel, and it's metal 3D printed, and our nozzle.
Injector made of Inconel, Marty.
Yep.
That was a material on the lunar module.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
And then our nozzle system as well is also metal 3D printed with new technologies. Our turbo pump is has also been patented, and it's a new design. Yep. And so there's so many novel things that we're working.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can.
Well, we're enjoying this conversation with Catherine Ferrerira next to me here, and Mikaela Juda, young rocket engineers for our hometown company called Vaya Space. Marty, I didn't bring my smart tablet because it's a little distracting when I have guests. Have any comments or questions from anybody watching there. It's Friday, so I'll bet Robert Law's got a cocktail in his hand up there in Dundee, Scotland, watching us.
Oh, very cool.
There, we've got Cliff Watson in Pomona, Australia, has probably been watching. Hi, Hazel. Talked to Hazel Banks yesterday, Marty. She isn't signed up for YouTube, so she's not making comments. But we've got Doug Forrest enjoying this. He's he works in the Hollywood business out there in outside of Los Angeles. Dave Stangy's up in Michigan. Logan Cope, yep, your Logan's here helping us today. Gary Gerald is a hard-working Vidalia onion farmer up there in Collins, Georgia. I expect to see you soon, Gary, with the box full. We got people that want them. Steve Jokums has the Lake County Spaceport up in shores of Lake Michigan. He has a company that makes decals for shuttle and all kinds of models there. You can't paint that all the heat tiles on the shuttle when you're on a model. So he's got a decal that looks beautiful on it, type of thing. Catherine B's watching. Thank you, Catherine. Tom and Mark Usiak, the brothers in Pennsylvania, Lancaster. Bill Whiting has finally made it down to the Space Coast just in time to hit the 90s here, Bill, from up there.
Hot.
And there's your mom and dad, Jesus and Andrea. And Sean, is that the Sean Mursky?
I don't know, but that's
Sean plays too
Sean plays too much. That's
Sean plays too much. That sounds like Sean Mursky. And Vivian Rizzo's watching. Thank you, Vivian, for watching
Vivian is
today.
a friend of mine.
Is that another friend
Yeah,
of yours?
she's a
Good.
friend.
All right. We have a lot of people that watch Stay Curious, and part of it is because for over 20 years, our museum has preserved the birth of the space age here in Brevard County. It's delivery room. And the artifacts that you saw here today, are, we think, pretty unique and one of a kind. You guys were here very early. Since I'm talking about it, tell us a little bit about your impression about the American Space Museum, Mikaela.
My first impression was this is the kind of artifacts and the kind of history about space that you don't see in the mainstream museums. Like, everything that we saw was just so unique, and it just had that little personal touch that you can't really get at Kennedy Space Center or even some of the bigger space museums. Everything was so interesting.
Well, you got a great tour with our
Yes.
collection manager, Nick Enix. Thank you,
yeah.
Nick, for taking these ladies around. He says he doesn't like to talk too much, but
He was so knowledgeable.
yeah,
so knowledgeable.
that's right. And he's over all of our beautiful collections here. And Nick is a Boeing worker, a shuttle guy, and a great guy, and we're lucky to have him here on our staff. How about your impressions of our humble little museum?
Oh, fantastic.
Mhm.
I loved every single
Yeah.
thing of it. We were nerding out all the
Yes.
time as we were looking at all the artifacts because they're relics and there's no replica of those things. Those are things that the astronauts touched, that people that worked on the shuttle had personalized. And so it was such an amazing experience. We were talking about the fact that why is people not flooding this place because this is just so interesting.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Well, we're a humble, struggling nonprofit at times, like all nonprofits. When everybody's seen their bills go up about 25% in the last 2 or 3 years, so that's important that you spread the word for us there. We are what we are. We never want to be the biggest or be considered the best. We are the homage to the space workers like Marty, who we seriously call national treasures. And you folks are becoming national treasures with what you're doing to change our world. Marty, you have a question or comment?
I don't know, Mark, if it's a question or a comment, so bear with me on this. I think this is for Catherine. Orgalusa let me try again. Orgalusia Dios Bendiga Kath. Is that Portuguese?
I'm not sure. I think that's Spanish. I think it said Dios te bendiga, which is God bless you, I think.
Here.
Proud of you.
Yeah, thank you, Logan.
Orgullosa de ti, meaning proud of you. God bless
good.
you. Yeah. It's like-
How did I do?
Portuguese needs work.
I can teach you a little bit.
Yeah, need to, yes. I was telling about our good friend Jefferson Michaelis. from Brazil that, if you don't know that country, speaks Portuguese. And yeah, Jefferson's been on our show, and you guys have actually familiar with him there. So
Yeah, we've done a couple events with the Michaelis Foundation and just working with the kids over there and talking with them about their space projects, and it's been fun. The few times we've met with him.
yeah, it is fun.
Yeah.
We miss you. Be sure and show your face when we see you and Carla there, Jefferson Michaelis. So we're really enjoying this as everybody else is watching today. Just I'm sure taken aback at again the youth of you all, but this is what the Apollo era was all about.
Yeah.
And there were some very important people in the history of the Apollo era that were in their 20s and saved the day type of thing on there. But you're going to save the world, not save the day, with things that you want to launch with Vaya. We talked about you custom tailor your launch, improved reliability and affordability, which is what you're speaking about, the innovative things there. I wouldn't know about affordability when you're launching rockets and startup companies like yours are 5 years to get, to the first launch type of thing, meaning that they have a lot of overhead to recover from their investment for their investors. Inherently safe. That is really a big deal with your company, right? You can load this you can load the rocket up here in Cocoa and take it over in a U-Haul van probably if it fit, right?
Yep. With our fuel,
with no police escort needed.
Yeah. The biggest, I guess, hazard that would come to doing that would just be the size of it.
Yeah.
But mostly with our fuel grains, our lead propulsion engineer, Kineo, he always likes to say it's like lighting a Lego on fire. And it's just so hard to create enough energy to spontaneously combust. And that's what really keeps our rockets inherently safe.
Yes, zero TNT equivalency, as we call it.
The what equivalency?
It's zero TNT equivalency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Flexible scheduling, of course, mobile launch systems, because they're how tall is one of your tallest rockets?
We're planning for Dauntless to be about 70 feet.
70 feet, okay.
Yes.
The Falcon 9 that we're all familiar with, that noisy rocket that keeps going off in the middle of the night, that's 212 feet. So this is a third of the size.
Yes, very small.
But it can still put up, I know you have models that are going up to even 2 tons, right? Over
trying to, yes, looking at that.
But
depending
in
where
the
we launch
beginning,
from.
there's a lot of payloads in this half a ton to ton range that people
Yes.
want to put things up there. And a lot of these payloads are not permanent in orbit. They're up there for to do a job and then come back down, which leads to your military applications and interest in the military establishment. And of course, environmentally friendly, that we all want to be with things today.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little. Anything we need to really talk about the rocket itself, which you all are pioneering to do. The fairing is also made in house, or not?
We will actually be outsourcing our fairing to a company that has already launched a couple rockets and used their fairing before. So we're going to be partnering with Beyond Gravity for that.
Beyond Gravity,
yep.
Okay. They're in town here. That used to be the European RUAG was
Yes.
in that building.
I think
on
they
one.
I think they might actually still be the same company. 'Cause
Same
I think,
company, RUAG and Beyond Gravity. Yeah, RUAG. And, okay, may have changed that because they also made like the Pez dispensers to spit out rock payloads and so forth.
Yep.
Anything that you want to add about your side of the rocket there, being the bottom side, the engine, and
Yeah, no, it's gonna be very, very, very interesting to see this design work. We're trying to improve all of our methodologies, and with the help of systems, we've been able to create a system that, predominantly speaking, can allow for us to keep doing this and produce it tailor-made for every single one of our
Yep.
of our launch of every single provider that we're working with.
Yeah.
So that is very exciting that we can make it work to the needs of every client.
Yes.
well, good. That's awesome, and that is. Tailoring everything to your needs, which they can do with this recyclable fuel and so forth. They've over the 5-year span, they have launched statically and I think there's a New Mexico test about a year ago too. Different scale versions of this to make sure. And you have on your website, there was an important testing for the military to watch you throttle this engine.
Yes.
Yes.
We hadn't talked about that it's a
Mhm.
throttleable engine too.
Yes.
Most people think that solid rockets like fuel, like you have in with this plastic fuel, that you can't turn it off and on, but you can throttle the amount of thrust.
Yep.
Correct.
And how do you do that?
Yeah, so essentially, our technology allows us to throttle because it's all run by the oxidizer concentration, and so or how much oxidizer, the mass flow rate of the oxidizer, if you want, and so that allows us to control how much thrust we're producing, and so we can put it down to 30%, or we can put it up to 80%. But we also have the capability of relight, which is something that you don't really see in solids.
Is that right?
Yes, we were able to prove our in that reliability aspect, we were able to prove our relight capability.
So your second stage could get to orbit and then be relit again.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
For an interplanetary payload or something like that.
Correct.
Yep.
That's
On
why
there.
it's such a big market as well for the military and
Yeah.
for the defense department,
Yeah.
because it has the capabilities of
Mhm.
relight, which is
Well, I know you'll be doing business with them because that's Rob's background. He was an MX rocket guy out there in the western states up there, and just brilliant in that, I understand. Well, here's where you're going to launch from. Excitingly, you see the rocket row numbers there, and if you look there, folks, at number 13, which has beside it launch zone number 1 and 2. There you go, right up there. That's your pad that you're going to be working on. Of course, that is familiar to us as seeing the SpaceX crew of the first stage of the Falcon Dragon land there on the X there. Both those X's. That's what it looks like from the aerial side view. We'll never forget the first time we saw those two come down off that Falcon Heavy that launched the Roadster into orbit. But that's the aerial view of that pad. Very historic pad. I didn't pull off a picture of the hundreds probably of Atlas rockets that were launched off of that with payloads. Very active launch pad, just like 36 at the tip of this whole thing is there. Have you guys been out there to see it physically? That's your bailiwick, the ground system there, Mikaela.
Yeah, so we actually have been in talks with Phantom and SpaceX, and we're trying to get out there and just to see, what's out there, what we could use, what we could keep. So we're still in those conversations. We do have, this isn't necessarily tied to going out to launch site 13, but we have done some Space Force cleanups, which allow us access to, see some of the launch sites out there and just get a feel for what we could be experiencing out there. The heat.
What good? What NASA's going to do is require the rocket companies to land their rocket at the pad that you took off from. So around pad 40, SpaceX is leasing, and 39A, I guess they would have to also. Though I don't know where the room for that is with the Starship pad being built. They launched from there. They got to land there.
Yep.
Because of the congestion that's being created of all these launch pads are being, let me go back to that, Marty. They're leased.
Yep.
And I know some of the leases are 20 years at millions and millions of dollars on there. There you see LC-40, that's leased by SpaceX. 41s were the United Launch Alliance. Boeing's going to launch from up there at the top. And
like along with our LC-13 allocation, we will be sharing that pad with Phantom, but I know the Space Force also allocated, I think, pad 14 to Stoke Space. So the U.S. Space Force has really done a great job of making space more accessible and the launch pads accessible to the commercial industry and just the new commercial companies that have been coming up. So it's been good to see.
It is. Well, there's another innovation I'm going to talk about here after I take Marty's comment or question there.
Okay, due to modern technology, we're able to interpret a message from Janet Ramos. And it says, God bless you greatly, beautiful niece. We love you. Super proud of you, my queen.
Aw.
So yeah, it's my family is
All
probably
right.
watching
Well, that's wonderful.
from Venezuela.
And they in Venezuela?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
we're glad that
yeah.
you found us in Venezuela.
Aw.
Stay curious, everybody. We're glad that you're proud of this young lady here and her friend here. You know, you guys are in a situation at your age and in this company that, gosh, in 30 or 40 years, you're going to look back at this as like, you know, one of those jobs you wish you could go back to for just a day and hang out with everybody.
Yeah.
That's how I know Marty feels about the Grumman era, and I feel about some of my jobs in the news business. So, let's talk about something that new partnerships are being aligned. You made a partnership with Space Prep. Space Prep is a division of All Points. Space Prep is providing things out there at the Space Force Center that you don't think about. All these companies are going to need bathrooms. They're going to need secretarial buildings for administration. You're going to need different ways to get rid of trash and things like that. And Space Prep is all about that, providing these services out there to the new pads. They're going to have actually going to have a building that's going to process people and things going from the moon and back, hopefully one day. But so that's an important alliance that you had that might involve you more with the ground control stuff. Have you been on any of these talks with the Space Prep people? Kevin Brown was here and did a great talk on the Delta Clipper back 30 years ago. Was a reusable spacecraft. But Space Prep is very important what they're doing, and you're involved with them.
Yeah, we've along with some of our like ground control and launch support stuff that we've looked and talked with them about partnering with. We've also talked with them about some of the payload processing and the payload preparation, just activities and how they could support us on that when we actually start payload integration with our vehicles and how to get that process going. So they'll be a big help with that too.
Right. Good. Well, good. Yes. And that's what they're there for, because you can't expect a company like Vaya or any of these other companies to bring in their own staff and stuff like that. This administration and stuff. That's a little more overhead than what you need. Probably fall under the human resources part of it. But Marty brought me here Marlene Quintan.
Marlene Quintana.
All right, Marlene Quintana. Catherine's watching. Daniel DeYoung's watching. Daniel's an airline pilot for Spirit Airlines.
Awesome.
And Janet Ramos is another one of your family members. Wow. All right, you family members. We're a nonprofit. If you want to help us out, we go to our website, and we've got PayPal there, okay, to support us. And we thank you for any support that we get. But we thank these young ladies, young engineers, for taking their time out. And we appreciate the partnership we have with Vaya. There's Rob Fabian on the right in the red tie. He's your COO. He's shaking hands with Phantom Rocket Company. Mark Lester on the left. They signed a memorandum of agreement that is very historic, Marty. This is the first time that two rocket companies have agreed to share the same launch pad. All right. Two companies will work together out at LC-13. And I can't believe this has never been done before, but it hasn't. This is akin to airports sharing their runways, their gates, their operational infrastructure, all right, and again reduces some of the everyday overhead that's necessary for operating human beings in an environment that is needed to be military safe for the security of our national secrets at the Space Force, as well as pragmatic, practical to everybody's needs there. So Vaya Space and Phantom have made this important collaboration. And that's Mark Lester on the left, their COO of Phantom, and Rob Fabian on the right. Phantom, founded by Jim Cantrell and Michael D'Angelo, is a space transportation company that wants to become your Henry Ford of space transportation. They want to mass have opportunity to mass manufacture and launch hundreds of rockets in 100% controlled U.S. environment, and they're headquartered in Tucson, Arizona. So they have some big plans, just like you all do, to revolutionize the way we think of putting things in orbit to space on there. When you're talking still $10,000 a pound is still the number out there to orbit things. These cooperations are very valuable to sharing resources there. So that was at Commercial Space Week in Orlando there, where I got to eat lunch with Rob, and we ate with another astronaut, Scott Altman, Scooter. Y'all know the movie Top Gun?
Yes.
Well, Scott Altman was in one of the F-18 jets that scraped the tower in that famous scene.
Oh,
got
wow.
real close to the tower and all that.
Wow.
And he was a commander of 2 Hubble repair missions there. And Rob and I got to break some bread with Scooter back in the end of January, I believe that was. Well, I've run out of my little slideshow here, and you guys have just a fine job, I think, explaining some technical rocket science stuff to us there. I'm really floored by the ability to maneuver your engines here by using the what did I do with that? No, that stayed in there. Oop.
But that does show our LOX tank.
Yeah. Yeah, there's your LOX tank in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
In there. We'll scoop that out later, Rob, and get that back to you. But no, but not maneuvering and gimbaling the rocket, but
Right.
being able to have actuators in there to help that. And those actuators are using the exhaust
Correct.
from the rocket to help it maneuver,
Correct.
so you don't need any RCS, special hypergolic fuels or something like that.
Yeah, we're still gonna have an RCS system just to for maneuverability purposes. But just to control the thrust mostly, that supersonic split line is gonna help us so much. We went through an extensive trace study just looking at different kinds of thrust vector control systems, but ended up with the solution that was this amazing, because our rocket is pure fuel, right? It's solid.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be hard. Like in a normal liquid engine, they gimbal the whole engine in this like ball and socket kind of modality. But in our engine, that's gonna be more difficult because it's heavy in that sense, the fuel. So we thought, oh, whoa, what if we just do it with a nozzle? That's, at the end of the day, that's all that needs to be moved is the flow, not really the whole engine.
Yeah.
So
Great
the
idea.
idea,
To make the point again, the core of this rocket is the fuel. You just have a small barrier there between the fuel and the rocket. There's not a skin to this like was on the Atlas rockets that had to be pressurized and inflated to keep it stiff for weight purposes. Your rocket is the outside of the rocket is your fuel. And that's a cool thing. Well, best of luck to you, ladies. Is there something
Thanks so
I haven't asked you, Catherine, that you'd like to share with your friends and all your family watching today? Thank you for watching.
Yeah. No, not anything in particular. I would just add that thank you so much again for all of the treatment and everything here. I definitely recommend everyone to come to this museum. And I would definitely say that it's been such an inspiration to meet all the people around here. But also just to know that so many women, since we're talking about women in STEM and women in engineering, just to meet so many passionate women that are looking forward to joining this industry. It's so amazing. It's so forward, and I really love to inspire any single time that I have the opportunity to talk to women, to talk about what an amazing thing it is to be part of this, to be continuing the story, the history that we've made so far as humanity. And so just that's just such a privilege. And
But you represent yourself and the company very well, Catherine. You're very eloquent with what you're saying, and your family should be very proud of you. Mikaela, I'm sure your family's just as proud of you. We'll hear from them later. They're local. They're going to catch the rerun of this. But is there something you'd like to share that we haven't touched on?
Not really. Mostly, I just love talking about Dauntless. We're obviously super passionate and super excited about everything that the future has for us. Not only just with Dauntless, but just the new space age. I think this new space age is just going to be one for
Yeah, the next
Run for
25
our
years
money.
is going to really rewrite a lot of things.
yeah.
I'm so thrilled that these young ladies came in and they got to meet Mr. Jay Honeycutt, a
Yes.
NASA legend, of course, center director at Kennedy Space Center for 2 years, but really the architect of the management of the shuttle after the Challenger era there. And he's a very humble guy, but I'm going to post a picture of you guys with him on there because one day you'll read about him and say, oh my gosh, I got to meet Mr. Jay Honeycutt. And thank you, Jay, for all your support of the museum. And you know what strikes me about these rocket engineers and seeing the new landscape, it's not like 8 guys and 2 women, okay, in these companies. It seems really 50-50 to me. Am I seeing things right?
Yeah, I'd say it's slowly growing.
Mhm.
Every time,
Yeah.
like it's just slowly growing. I know that it's not exponential growth, but it does feel like it's exponentially growing. Every day you see more and more women who are excited and interested, and more women you see applying, and you see us interviewing them, and they're great candidates, so we're hiring them. So
Yeah.
it's growing for sure.
Yeah. Is my observation right about that?
Yeah, well, currently in the propulsion team, I'm the only.
Oh, okay. All right.
But that's gonna change soon. We're getting some interns, and one of them is a girl, so
Yeah.
Well,
I'm pretty
you know,
excited.
you know,
But no, yeah, we definitely, like Mikaela said, there's so many girls out there that are so smart that are continuing to join our company
Mm-hmm.
and are gonna continue to join different other companies. I made so many acquaintances at the university that were
Yep.
female, and it's incredible to see the impact that and just the freedom that we have in this society to
Yes.
be part of that.
Well, you're making a big difference. Marty and I are baby boomers, grew up in the women's liberation time, which was a tough time really for women in the 60s and 70s, and that's why I say that it's more of your qualifications and not
Mhm.
your sex.
Yeah.
We're talking about the first woman and the first person of color landing on the moon with Artemis. And frankly, if 2 women are the most qualified, I want them to be the ones that go to the moon. All right. I don't care what they look like
Yep.
on there. And I'm glad that we are heading in that positive direction here in our society. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Mike.
Catherine,
Thank you for
Mikaela.
having us.
And well,
Thank you.
very glad to have you all
Thank
here. I'm going to give you a little swag bag to head out, but going to give them each a Rocket Hobo patch, okay? That's Ozzy Osbourne, who
Oh,
was
so
72 years
cute.
old when he died last year.
Oh, wow.
And he was the official Rocket Hobo out there at Spaceview Park.
Oh, that's awesome.
And you guys are rocket engineers that are hobos when you're watching the
Yeah,
launches.
for sure.
Keep me in touch, and we'll let
Thank
you
you.
know when Vaya Space does their full upscale test of their Dauntless rocket system. We'll hear it all over the county, I'm
Yes.
sure,
Mhm.
in there. So
sure.
We'll be
look
rattling your
forward to
houses.
that. And thank you again for a wonderful educational program here today, Marty. Do we have anything to button up on our Streamlabs production there with you and Logan?
Yep, we're good to go.
All right. Well, I know everybody enjoyed today's program. I think we've done like 1,045 episodes of Stay
Wow.
Curious in 4 years.
Awesome.
And there's hardly any of them been better than this one, right,
Oh.
Marty, in my opinion. So thank you so much, ladies,
Thank
and
you.
best
Thank
of
you for
luck to
having
you.
Thank
And
you.
we look forward to having you back and talk about a successful launch, hopefully in like 2026 time frame,
Yes.
when they'll be putting something up to space. So we'll look forward to that. So
Yeah.
until next time, when we have some guests or talk about space history, astronaut birthdays, or just talk about space in general, I'm Mark Marquette saying I can't wait to see you in our museum to what? To bridge the space between us, of course. Thank you all.
Bye.